My name is Alan Neumann, and I'm the president of Historic Hudson, a local non-for-profit in the city of Hudson. We were founded in October of 1996 to preserve the character of the city of Hudson. Because of our advocacy over the last 24 years, Hudson now has an Historic Preservation Commission. It has 5 historic districts, and 100% of the buildings on Warren Street are protected by our Historic Preservation Commission. Beginning at the founding, this organization got involved in preserving the building where we're sitting today, the Dr. Oliver Bronson House. It was built in 1811. It was improved by a very important architect early in his career, Alexander Jackson Davis, for Dr. Oliver Bronson and his wife, Joanna Donaldson Bronson. This building is owned by the people of the state of New York. It is on the grounds of the 163-acre Hudson Correctional Facility, the Department of Corrections. The building was boarded up in 1970 and sat vacant for 38 years. It took Historic Hudson 11 years to negotiate a lease, to get access to even put a tarp on this building, and I can assure you the north wall in 1 or 2 more years would have collapsed. I could have removed it with one hand. We are thrilled that on Sunday, October 25th, we were able to show this vision for a Bronson Park for the future. We have advocated for this park from day one as we were trying to preserve this house that was a wreck. In 1997, Historic Hudson got formal legal access to come in. It was full of garbage inside and out. By August of 1997, we opened it for the first time for the community to come see. It took weeks of clearing it. We took the plywood off the windows. It was a breathtaking day, and about 150 community members came, and it was, let's save this, everyone, and what will we do with it? In June of 1998, one of our founders and the president at the time, Timothy Dunleavy, by accident, heard a group of men in the bar of the St. Charles Hotel, where he went to get his glass of Pinot Grigio, that they had successfully passed a New York State Senate bill to split this land off. The state would sell it for industrial development. The factory that some might know as Kaz, it is now called Flanders on Worth Avenue, had just been built, and this land was set for future industrial development. In 1998, 150 faxes rolled into Albany. Our senator and our assembly member said we'd never heard any objection, and it was because of Historic Hudson. And we have this poster, which we keep on our wall, and it says, should an intact 19th century scenic landscape become an industrial park? It shows the only known image of this house, painted in 1819, and we advocated for this from day one. We secured the National Historic Landmark nomination and designation in July of 2003. It's the highest level of designation a property, a work of architecture can have in this country. It now has the same legal protections and designation as our neighbors Olana National Historic Landmark and the Thomas Cole Cedar Grove National Historic Landmark. We put in place in 2010 a conservation and stabilization plan with a group of architects and engineers and cost estimates. To date, Historic Hudson has raised $1.6 million to save this house and on this 1 acre, and our 10-year conservation plan is reaching completion right now in 2020. The final phase of the restoration is underway with almost $500,000 grant from New York State that we're raising the funding for. Our initial studies that connect this to Olana, to Cedar Grove, to the trails, to the Empire State Trail. Where does this fit? And we're also thrilled to announce, and it's public knowledge, that 79 acres immediately to the south were purchased in February by the Scenic Hudson Land Trust for a public access park. This park would be like having Olana right at the corner of 7th and Union. Indeed, it is, and indeed, that's what we're working on. So this is the only known image of the Samuel Plum House built in 1811 out in the middle of the wilderness. It must have appeared like a spaceship dropping out of the sky. This drawing was done by William Guy Wall in 1819 as a study for the Hudson River portfolio. This is a 3-story, simple, federal-style house, anything but simple, with an open landscape all the way to South Bay. This is how the house was made modern and picturesque by Dr. Oliver Bronson and his architect, Alexander Jackson Davis. It added shade, shadow, light, dark, plantings. Literally, they took the term picturesque. It was a watercolor painting brought to life. Architecture and landscape in one conversation. These are the first drop brackets anywhere in America. It led to a national style. Later, it was given the term Hudson River bracketed, but this is where the story starts. There was a magnificent white oak tree, and those are white oak acorns that he incorporated into the house, a symbol of peace and serenity. We have another close-up image taken out of the Historic Hudson archives from the Rolls photographic studio of these gentlemen sitting sometime, we believe, in the 1880s with a later owner. And the gentleman sitting there with a mustache, they're drinking champagne. Everyone who knows it well says, that's Frederick Church. We know he was a neighbor. We know he was friends of the then owners. And you can see the elegant drop acorn ornament on that west veranda. This is an image of the house, a bird's eye view from 1881, right at about the time with that owner that Frederick Church knew, and it shows the trails, the house, the gatehouse where the public comes in, and it shows a lower gatehouse down near the corner of 7th and Union Street with a bridge across this 40-foot deep gorge. This is what we're proposing as the land of the National Historic Landmark, as a public access park with trails. We brought the public in on Sunday, October 25th to take a look. We handed out maps with our contact information, historichudson.org. We ask you to become a member, to become a part of this, to get on our mailing list. We'll be staying in email contact with you as steps move forward. The next year will be quite exciting, and we welcome the community to join us, to come in and to stay in touch and to look to the future. And maybe we'll have a walk without masks.